The Democratic Alliance says it's geared for the local government elections set to take place in October this year. SABC News reporter Lwando Nomoyi and video journalist Mcebisi Slengile caught up with DA federal leader John Steenhuisen after the party's virtual rally touching on pressing issues in the party.
Mr. John, thank you so much for your time. We understand there's been some internal turmoil within the DA. We've had the resignation of Phumzile van Dam as a member of parliament, actually. So just to clarify to your voters, how would this be a good build-up to the upcoming elections?
Well, people come and people go in politics, and that's just the nature of the game. The values and principles of the party remain. The party remains, and that's the same that it's been in the past, and that's how politics works. People are entitled to make their own decisions and their own choices and exercise their rights, and they are free to do so. Ms. van Dam remains a member of the DA, and she's obviously chosen to do something different, and I said we've accepted her resignation. We thank her for her service, and we wish her nothing but the best in her future endeavours.
Mr. John, let's talk now about the tertiary qualifications scandal fallout. We've seen Nkosi Madikizela, the former MEC of Transport in the Western Cape, losing his position in provincial government, and also the questions surrounding Natasha Mazone. So how is the DA, going to reassure their voters that the party is a party for equal opportunity?
Well, firstly, Mr. Madikizela didn't lose his position. He did the honourable thing that we don't see enough in South African politics, and took responsibility and accountability, and in doing so, I think showed that he's a greater man than his critics. What we've done is instituted a full investigation within the party by the Federal Legal Commission of the CVs of all candidates for the 2019 elections, as well as all CVs that have been submitted for candidates in the upcoming local government elections. Where qualifications indicated, members are going to be required to produce those certificates. In terms of the matters, they've all been dealt with in exactly the same way. They are referred to the FLC, and the FLC then makes findings in that regard. I think it's already become very, very clear that Ms. Mazone's, the allegations made by Mr. Heron in the good party, or the not so good party, have been completely disproved and proved out to be nothing but a smear campaign by someone who's desperate to try and get attention. But there are other matters that we're looking into, and we hold ourselves to the same standard we hold others, and therefore if there are members of the DA who have claim qualifications they don't have, then they will face the full process of the FLC. And everyone in the party, whether you're the party leader or an ordinary activist, is treated in exactly the same way.
And let's also talk about the election of the new DA leader in the Western Cape, Mr. Albert Fritz. Why does the DA see him as the successful, candidate, or actually the successful leader to actually, to handle this situation going on within the Western Cape?
Well, he is an interim leader. He's not elected as the full leader. That'll be done by Congress. But that's how the Constitution works. I think that Mr. Fritz is a very able campaigner. I think he was already the deputy leader of the province, so it made absolute sense that he would step into the breach. And I have full confidence that he is going to be able to pull together a terrific election campaign in the Western Cape. And he's shown in his duties as an MEC, but also in his role as deputy leader, that he's got the fire in his belly and that he's got the guts to get things done and to speak up for his communities.
And another question, Mr. John, is the decline in support from the DA. We've seen just this past week you lost 2 wards in Eldorado Park, and going to the elections. How confident are you, and especially in your mayoral candidates, to ensure that you do actually regain the support, especially in areas such as Johannesburg, Pretoria, Gouga, and Nelson Mandela Bay?
Well, I think that the 2 wards that we lost in Eldos are very localized issues. People are angry about the land invasions that were allowed to take place there under the previous administration, and I think that they made their anger known at the polls. Obviously, we've got some work to do in those communities, and I intend to go back into those communities and win back their trust. But if you actually do a proper analysis of the by-election results, you will see very, very clearly that in many, many VDs, the DA not only did better than 2019, but in often places did better than 2016. Our growth amongst black voters in these by-elections has been a cause for immense confidence in going forward, and the fact that despite a big onslaught, we were able to see off the Freedom Front in the 3 wards in Tshwane. All the analysts from Derby Scholz to Wayne Sisman, said we were going to lose those wards, but we proved them wrong. We won those wards and we were able to beat it off. So I'm very confident that with a well-planned and executed election campaign headed by exceptionally talented mayoral candidates, that we will be able to have an excellent showing in the local government elections later this year, which is why I keep saying we're ready for the election. We want to go to the election. It's the other parties that seem to be stalling and not wanting to go ahead with the election. We're ready, and I think today's rally showed very clearly that we're ready to take our message of hope and change to the rest of South Africa, and we're raring to go, and we want this election.
And it's also a race against time with vaccination and the fear of the third wave, and these elections as well. What is your reaction to what the IEC is still reviewing in process, in terms of whether deciding that the conditions are conducive or not to hold elections?
Well, I find it odd. The president's already proclaimed the election date. He said it is the 27th of October. He's announced the date that it's going to be. I don't understand what the IEC is up to. Many countries in Africa have shown that they were able to hold elections during the COVID-19 pandemic. Internationally, we've seen actions.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. John.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you, and thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thanks. That was DA Federal Leader, Mr. John Steenhuisen.